Hey boys and girls, last week we learned about the letter Z, and we learned about zoos and zoo animals, and we learned about when we go to a zoo, we can zigzag around the different enclosures. And in the different enclosures, we have the animals, and we had to separate certain animals between like herbivores, carnivores, so they didn't get after each other. And in each enclosure, they have special things for that animal to live. And because most of these animals come from all over the world, and that's not their normal place to live. So we know that when we look at a globe, we know where we live. We live here in North America. Right about there is Georgia. But if we're going to find out where animals live in their certain habitats, meaning the areas they live, we have to look at the whole globe. And we know when we look at the whole earth, we have water and land. One of our special globes that we used earlier, we had all water and then all land. But there's no details on that for us to know what is in that land. So we are going to study some special things about the land and where the animals live. So if we look at the whole world, all 7 continents, we can see there's different colors on the continents. There's the white areas. We know those are the polar areas that we learned about this winter. And then there's some other white areas here. Those are the mountain regions where it stays cold on the tops. Not many animals or plants live there. But look at the rest of the world. There's North America. There's lots of greens and some browns. South America has some dark greens and some browns. Look at Africa. Lots of browns, some greens in there. And then Europe, Asia, and Australia, or Oceania. So all of these areas have special zones or habitats for the animals to live. I have a special map that's going to help us learn about this. So we're going to see where these animals live. So on this map, as in all maps, we have a legend or a key. And that helps us to tell what these different colors are, just like on that map. So we know that blue is the ocean, and that's all around. And we know different animals that live in the ocean. From when we went to the Marine Center, there's all kinds of fish and wildlife that live in the ocean. We're going to focus this time on land areas. So the white areas we know are the polar regions, and those are going to be the real cold ones. And then we have light green are the temperate forest, or kind of where we live here. So it's more foresty and grassy. We have the purple regions, which are the mountains. And you can see there's some mountains almost in every continent. Then we have orange, which is the desert. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And that's almost in every continent, just not Europe. And then we have the dark green areas. Those are the jungles or rainforest or tropical forest areas. And then we have these little teal blue ones, which are wetlands. But we're going to focus on the main ones, which are the temperate forests, the polar areas, the deserts, and the grasslands. So I have some special things here. I'm going to start with the orange ones, the desert areas. These places get very little rain, and they're very hot, real hot during the day and cold at night. And many of those animals live underground or in the rock areas, and most of them are nocturnal, meaning they only come out at night, kind of like the raccoons when we talked about raccoons and bats. So some of the animals that we would find in these desert areas would be our lizards, iguanas, and bearded dragons. So we have those, and we're going to put those maybe here in Africa. We're going to put that there. Other ones we have are snakes. Let's put a snake over here in North America in the orange, and another snake. We'll put that maybe down in South America there. So those are some of the desert areas, desert animals. Next one we're going to talk about, the polar regions, so the white areas. We know that these have snow and ice most of the year. They do have, you can see a little bit of green. They do have that short summer that we talked about this winter, and where some plants and the animals come out, some hibernate, some travel down to the warmer areas when it's cold in the winter. We know this animal that we studied, the polar bear, and that's up in the northern regions. We know that some down Antarctica or the South Pole area are the penguins. I don't happen to have a little penguin, but we know that they live down there. Or the leopard seal and walruses live up here in the polar regions. Right, let's see the next one. The desert areas. Nope, the grassland areas, excuse me. So the places where the grass grows in high grasses, and you have those types of animals like this. Most of our zoo animals come from the grasslands. And the animals eat grasses, live in herds, and other animals prey on them. Our carnivores prey on them, meaning that's their food. Some of those animals live underground too. So some of the animals that live in the grassland areas, which are the goldish color areas, are our zebras. We have zebras down here. We're going to put most of them live in the Africa region. We have our lions, so our carnivores live in the grasslands. We have our giraffes that live in the grasslands. And we have our African elephants, and these elephants have the bigger ears, and they live here in the grasslands. We're going to run out of grasslands. So, let's see. And then we have some more that live closer to the waters and the jungle areas. So we have the hippos that are in the grasslands, but they're getting a little closer. And then we have things like monkeys and chimpanzees. Now there's rainforest and those that live in the dark green areas. So we're going to put him down there in Africa. He could also live over here in any of the dark green areas, but they're usually there. No, giraffe is not going to stand up. All right, another grassland animal is the emu. Where did the emu come from? We studied him. He's down in Australia. So we're going to put him there. He may not stand up too well. There he goes. So those are our grassland animals. Let's see. The light green area was our temperate forest, or the wooded lands where we kind of live. This has rains and the 4 seasons. It has the trees that change colors with the leaves. That's where we live, right in this area. So all of the light green areas, all the way across the different regions of the continents, are the same type temperatures. And the animals here have plenty of food, and they can roam around. Let's see, a brown bear. That would be up here in North America. That's a big one. We'll kind of put him off to the side. Oh, here's a smaller one. We can put him on the map. So a little brown bear. We have some rabbits. We know about rabbits. They live by us. Some raccoons. They live in our temperate forest where we live. We have otters and beavers. They all live around us. Some other animals are the big elk and moose. Now they can live up here in North America. They can also live over here in Asia because it's all the same type grass areas. And we have deer. We know we have lots of deer by us. We can put them down here too. All right, then we have the Asian elephant. These have the smaller ears, so they live over here in Asia area in the grasslands. A buffalo or bison. They live out here, kind of more in the western area, Midwest area, in the grasslands still, close to the grasslands and temperate forest. Okay, so that's kind of North America animals, some Asia animals, and some African animals. We have one more area we said we were going to look at, and we said that was kind of the jungle or tropical forest. The tropical forest has rain almost every day, and it's warmer because they are closer to the equator. These lines on the map are the equator, the fattest part of the earth. We talked about that when we studied our globes before. The fattest part of the earth is the closest to the sun, so they are warmer. And tropical as the globes go tumbling down. And there's lots and lots of different plants and animals in these regions. So we have things like tigers there. We'll put tigers, put them over in the Asian area in the tropical forest. We have gorillas and chimpanzees in the tropical forest. We put the chimpanzee here in Africa's tropical forest. We can put the gorilla and apes over there. We have all kinds of funky frogs over in the rainforest. Lots of them in South America. We have, well, this can actually, a jaguar can go either here or over here. We'll put them over here for right now, between the grasslands and the jungle. And then we have an alligator or a crocodile. We'll put him kind of down in here too, because they can be down here in 2 different areas, either more the the other forest, the temperate forest. Somewhere's up in the tropical areas, they're down there too. So that's just some of the areas. Let's see. Yep. So you see some animals in North America, South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. Europe has lots of the same types of animals because they're all in the temperate forest area too. One thing they don't have in Europe, though, is the deserts. So all of the continents except for Europe have the deserts. Looks like they all have some temperate or rainforest and lots of grasslands. So that's an example of some of the habitats that are around the world that these types of animals come from.